Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for February 25th through March 3rd, 2019. So let's take a moment to take a deep breath and to just let everything that is on your mind, just release it. And as you release, feel the relief and just call upon your channel of divine love to flow through your chakras. And so just call on that channel of divine love to flow through all of your 12 fifth dimensional chakras, starting with your stellar gateway all the way down into your earth star chakra. Just feel that unconditional love flowing through you, this vortex of light, perfection, and truth. This higher level of consciousness. And as it flows through your stellar gateway, your soul star chakra, your the causal chakra, the crown chakra, your third eye, and your throat chakra, and down into your heart chakra, your solar plexus, your navel chakra, your sacral chakra, your base chakra, and your earth star chakra. And this energy just flows down into the center of the earth, hollow earth, which is a seventh dimensional frequency. And just allow your inner light of your soul to expand in all directions. As you become a part of the universe. And you have, in this moment, feel the acceptance of God's wisdom and all the lessons that your soul is dealing with at this time. Instead of trying to mitigate circumstances in your life and in other people, your loved ones, just allow yourself to be. Allow yourself to be this channel of unconditional love. And before you try to fix anything or mitigate anything, first focus on just being. Just focus on being first. And they're showing me sort of a cross made of the two figure eights, so vertical and horizontal. And just sort of allow yourself to embrace this infinity symbol that's sort of been done in this cross formation. And try not to see it with your mind or try to understand it with your mind, but just to be present with the symbol. And just allow as you breathe, you can allow your mind to just flow with the symbol. And just breathe it into your lungs, however it comes to you. And this allows your mind to just pause, they say. And there writing, they wrote the word fragile, and they give me a sense that this time, for many of us, is sort of fragile. It's been, and what's so fragile about it is our ego is at a very fragile stage, and this is a good thing. And you are trying to, your ego is asking you to protect it, to defend it. And this is where this feeling of needing to fix something or to mitigate situations before they get out of control. And this is precisely when you need to allow everything to go out of control, to lose control. You need to let your ego lose control so that love can embrace you and embrace your perspective and your perception of your life and the world that we want to create moving forward together as we each allow ourselves to lose this control, because this is a control of fear. This is a control of the fear paradigm. I don't know why this is coming to my mind this time, but I just saw the episode of Discovery, this new Star Trek film, and well, not film, but the TV series. And this one was so interesting, and I don't even know why I'm telling you this, because I'm not going to remember the names of the species that was on this last episode. But if you get to see it on CBS Access, this particular group of people had, on their planet, they were conditioned to sense fear from this other group of people who was sort of controlling them. And they would go through this thing. They had these little things that would come out the back of their head, and I forgot what this was, but they were controlling them, and they would kill them off. They were afraid of them evolving past this stage of fear. So it was so interesting just watching the episode, and it felt like somebody was really tapping into this consciousness, because we are so imprisoned. We are slaves, sort of like this culture has been, to our fear. And I don't want to get into this whole conspiracy that someone wants to keep us in fear. What I really believe is that we somehow, when we detached and we from source in our incarnation, we couldn't remember, as we devolved into the three-dimensional aspect of our society, of our world, the framework of our world, we just became so dependent on our ego to help us to navigate our lives. And the ego is fragile. It always has been fragile. And any fragile personality uses false power, strength, like they blow themselves up to make things bigger than what they are, to make themselves appear bigger. I mean, if you notice, every one of us is always working so hard to try to appear to be something great. And that's our ego, who doesn't want anyone to see that it isn't great. But the thing is that you're tuned into a false sense of self. This false sense of self has kept us completely blind to our own true power, our divinity, which is infinite in all of its possibilities. And you still are working with your divinity. It's what makes life continue to flow and create. It's part of what we see so much diversity in our world and in our own lives. And I'm talking about not just diversity of culture and people, but there's a lot of diversity in our beingness and our desires. There's a lot that, if you look back at a life and you go through everything that life has done, that's a lot of diversity in that life. The interactions and how they handled them, because the diversity of the planet is constantly, throwing contrasts at you, and you're finding new ways to deal with it, and it sparks off new ideas and new desires and new projects and so on and so on. And so our divinity is so fully active. It's never been turned off. And this is not even a point of discussion, but just something to highlight. But it's the fear, the ego, which is not evil. It's just afraid. And what it kind of does is kind of pokes the bear or kind of points and blames and accuses others of being evil, being oppositional, being contrary to your opinions or your wants or desires. And so you never feel like in this life that somebody has your back 100%. Even the people you believe have your back, your ego will turn on them. So your ego will never allow you, because we give it so much control, to this ability to have 100% trust in anyone. And so, but it will demand it of others and accuse them of not doing so, and cause you to feel betrayed when they just give you 99.9% and not 100%. If you get my point in this, it will turn. And so right now, everything that's going on in our world, and it seems like it's at its peak of craziness. And with that, and this was so interesting in this episode, because there was an event that triggered their fear thingies that hang out of their head, and it was called some special sort of. It's sort of a special thing that happens, and it would mean that they needed to be terminated because they reached this point where it was the peak of their fear. And what it was going to happen is, if they went through this process, it was very painful. If they went through it, those things would fall off. That was it. And those things was inhibiting them because it only sensed fear, and it inhibited them from being open fully 100% to love. And so I feel like, this is, we want to fix, every time we're trying to get control when change happens in our lives, what you're doing is your ego is projecting this, identifying the situation as something that you need to fix, or things are really going to be horrible. And in my meditation, I don't know, this may not help you, but it just will help me to explain it to you, this same point. I'm afraid of roller coasters. And in my meditation, they were showing me the ascension up to the top point of the roller coaster. And I remember the one time somebody tricked me to getting on one and said it would be fine. This was an easy one. It was like the one at the Grizzly or something at is it Old Dominion or King's Dominion? And but the whole time I was anticipating the horror that would befall me. Now, that dip for me was breathtaking in the worst way in terms of my stomach. I can't deal with that kind of thing. But the thing is that it's the same idea, that it's the leading up to the changes that are coming and the chaos that we're experiencing. You know, a lot of the chaos has a lot more to do with leading up to, not actually the real experience, you going through it. And right now, we're really giving into our fears about what's going on in our world. We haven't even experienced the outcome of what we're anticipating, just like that roller coaster ride for me. And it wasn't as hellish as I was thinking, or my body was prepping itself to feel all these things like death or something. I mean, even we fear death, and I really don't believe that it's as dramatic. It's the leading up to, because we don't know. It's those kinds of things. It's the unknown. It's the lack of sensation, or not knowing what the sensations will be. It's not knowing what the outcome and the specifics of how things will fall is what we anticipate, that so profoundly that it causes the most unimaginable fears, circumstances of fear. And so this losing control right now, focus on being, rather than trying to mitigate and jump in and fix it or do whatever you normally do. And I'm not telling you, and they're not telling you not to do anything. What we're telling you is that when you focus on being and focus on what resonates with your truth, what resonates with your divine love, that unconditional love, what is the compassion, what is the voice of compassion inspire you to do? Don't act out of fear, but be inspired, because what we want to start transitioning into is that we can answer life, and I'm not going to call it trouble, the issues of life. I'm just going to call it life, because we're going to have to get used to, and when we do, just simplify everything that's happening as life and not labeling it, meaning judge, as bad, evil, and all this stuff. When we stop doing that and we just call it life, then feel that acceptance. Feel how your consciousness expands and is able to access higher levels of consciousness above the third dimension, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. The fear is limiting our ability to access our bliss, our pleasure. And so if we can begin to act through inspiration and compassion, we'll discover not just power, but empowerment. Actions that empower, that grant others freedom from the control of their ego. Because this action is more powerful than this false sense of truth that we've been working and subjugated by through fear. And it was so astounding in this episode when they discovered that all the things they thought was going to happen when that event, and I can't remember, I'm so terrible at paying attention to names and anything that's being named in a video. I'm very visual, but I'm just terrible at it. But this event, I'm going to call it a cosmic event, was not going to make them dangerous. It was going to actually free them. So this is like a stage of their evolution. And this is where you are right now. You need to participate, but you in your own evolution. And instead of reacting to fear, stand back. Tune into your being. Just be. Be with it all. But be in that where you tapping into that higher consciousness, where you're accessing and listening for compassion and inspiration as your guide, for the action that is in alignment, not only for you, but everyone else. And that does not necessarily mean that it looks like you've fixed their problems or helped them, specifically in the way that their fear is demanding it. And this is why a lot of us get so bent out of shape about God in a world like we are in today, but it's always been. The world is not really, it's been stagnating in this three-dimensional framework for quite a long time. And we've just been recycling, because that's what the three-dimensional framework is all about. Just recycling. You know, you find different ways. You've explored the contrast and all the possible ways of fear. You've imagined your worst fears over and over in countless, numerous ways. And now it's like we're realizing on some level that we're tired. And that's why a lot of things are coming out. That's how you break the cycle, with the truth. And it may be really hard for us, because what we thought we knew or who we thought we knew, and that doesn't matter, actually. That wasn't my responsibility to be disappointed in others. That's none of our business, actually. And when I say none of our business, I'm talking about your alignment. Because if it makes you feel bad, then that means, and I know that sounds simplified, but just for the sake of argument and being overly complicated, but when anything causes you to feel low in your own frequency, in your own alignment, meaning when you feel less connected, when you feel less blissful, then that means that situation is none of your energetic business. And in a lot of circumstances, really isn't. You can't do anything about it. So why do we spend our time talking about it in our own personal lives? And there's a way to do that too. Because there's a way that something can become a lesson, something can become, where compassion can inspire food for thought, for lack of a better word here. So I'm never saying we have to ignore. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying let's not do it through this voice of control, this voice of fear. Do it through compassionate inspiration. Because the result we're looking for is not to feel more powerful. Like, hold on, let me just say this first. The result we're looking for is empowerment. And sometimes we get on our moral high ground, or, and all we're doing is wasting energy thinking that we're better than someone else who made mistakes that you think that is impossible for you or I to make. We're all dealing in the same cycle that is weakening us through creating fears, because we are not in control of it. And I know that word, it sounds like, but But we're not in control because we're not focused on what is our truth. And that does not require control. It just requires you to keep doing your best to focus where you feel empowered. All right, so let's take a look at the card for the Archangel Oracle. And we have Archangel Ariel, prosperity. And when I see this card, this is what it really means to tap into our inner wealth. Our inner being is our true source of wealth. When we follow our hearts, when we follow our true heart's desire, the thing that resonates with us, the things that inspire us, we are attracting the abundance of support. The whole universe, just imagine this magnetic attraction that we call the law of attraction. When you find what you're blissful about, when you are passionate about something, and because you're inspired by it, that word, I'm going to use it over and over again because it really needs to click. When you're inspired by it, this sets off this bubbly energy, which just reins everything in, just draws it all in, all the possibilities, not a limit, but all. And all you have to do is keep cultivating the feeling, loving it, protecting it, nurturing it, to keep following the trail of inspiration. Let your next thought, your next action come out of that inspiration. The inspiration is fluid and infinite, and we just have to keep moving within that. But we get distracted. And that's also a part of our human experience. And we're not trying to control that we don't get off. Because when we get off, we don't feel good about it. And when we don't feel good about it, immediately we want to feel good about it. And that's part of why you want to fix. But at that moment, there's a choice. At that moment, that happens for a reason. And it's a good reason. But it's also because you have free will. It's at that moment when we love finding God again. Let's put it this way with this whole... It's about choosing how you're going to do it. Through the oneness, through inspiration, through true reality, or you're going to do it through fear, power, or empowerment. And this is, again, the choice that you are free to make for yourself. And nobody in the universe is beating you up when you don't get it right. Because when you don't get it right, you feel really bad, which is not the point. The point is that in knowing that you feel bad, you want to feel good. That is my understanding of why our true desire and our true self is to do the right thing. Our true desire is to be one with God. Because we're always seeking, no matter how far wrong we turn, and making the wrong turns. Every wrong turn is a good opportunity to search, to dig deeper, to reunite with the one, is what they're saying here. Okay, so the card says your material needs are provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into realities. Just know that you're doing that, whether you get it right or whether you get it wrong. Because the desire, your intention is always to do the right thing. And you will make mistakes because we are human. We will be distracted. We will want to control. We will want power. Even though we really want empowerment, it'll happen. But the thing is is that as long as you're following your dreams, as long as you're always intending to do the right thing, and you do that no matter what, because that's why you feel the negative emotions. You're always as close to God as your very next thought. I don't care how overall someone acts in the way that we call evil. And I would encourage you to look at it as people just doing things that are different. Because a lot of what we have called evil is people just being different from us. I think the devil card is about he looks like a mutant human. And that mutiny is not from his own perspective, but from ours. Our projection, our judgment. When someone tries to be themselves or to try something new. And I know, and I'm not trying to argue against you, because you have your right to believe what you believe. And I can listen without any questions going off in my head. That's compassion, because I don't need to. Because you can believe what you want and I can, but be open-minded as much as you can within reason for you about that. All right, so let's take a look at the cards for the week and see how the week begins. Interesting. This card is the Seven of Angels, which is the sword suit. And so the swords, this card is titled Progress. And this card usually is about be on the lookout for possible deception or something that's not quite, something that's maybe shady or that's not going down in the way that it should. And this for me is, when it says progress, it throws you off, right? But what comes to me is what was exactly just said about we are, this part of our mind that is just at this point looking at everything suspiciously, even at themselves, criticizing yourself, and really not trusting anyone or anything, or not trusting yourself. And you feel like things are like maybe closing in on you. But what the angel is doing is showing you that through all, no matter what's going on, you're still progressing. Because you're learning. And these situations, sometimes, you got to hit rock bottom before you let something go. So it's sort of like, I get this feeling like you're going to have this breakthrough, and it may be in a situation that's not ideal, but it's going to cause you or to allow you to really have, because the sword's about the intellect and clarity for me. It's going to allow you to have this clarity, and it's going to just sort of catch you up. It's like you're going to advance through it once it clicks for you. It's just going to, your progress is just going to really advance. Let me tune in to this card. And so the thing is as the angel is doing, she's praying. And as she's praying, look at the energy that is flowing, the signals that she's sending out. And I know prayer feels like it's nothing, like it does nothing for a lot of people. But prayer, when you're focused, when you're focused through prayer, you are interrupting, you're distracting your worry. And see, you don't realize how powerful you are, and this is why you don't think your prayers. You interrupt your prayers because you don't understand the power you possess. When you interrupt a vibration that is a low frequency that you are sending out there intentionally, not intentionally, but you're sending these intentions out because you are focused upon them. That's all it takes, focus. When you pray, that prayer not only goes directly to God's heart and the universe, but it's also focusing you in differently from what you're doing. So you're raising your vibration every time you pray, because to pray to God is to reach up, to expand your frequency, your consciousness, and your beliefs. And see those stars just floating up? And so that's when you are able to ascend. Your frequency is able to ascend. So you don't have to believe in prayer. It's not necessary. That's how powerful you are. Because it's about the law of attraction here. You just need to be distracted from what you're doing. And so sitting down quietly somewhere to pray for a number of minutes will get you off of that signal of negativity and worry that you're sending. So every time you worry about a subject, and it's very specific, like money, then pray. Because it's better than you focusing, and where you focus is where you attract. It's that simple. And remember that emotional component, where you focus, and then that emotional component, boom, masculine, feminine, now you're going to create. So distract yourself with prayer, okay? And trust that what you're going through, you're always going forward in the universe. There's no backwards. Don't let your ego tell you that about what's going on in our world today. Make no mistake, we are moving so far into the future, far ahead and advanced from where we were, because of the chaos that's going on. This is why we don't want to disrupt the process to try to fix it, but to try to connect with it and let it sort of give us, like, you have passions and you need to tap into those. Okay? It's like the things that are going on is these things are summoning, activating your soul missions. This is giving you new purpose. But if you keep focusing on then you're going to not pay attention to the real signals. All right, here we have the Page of Angels, the Page of Swords. And this card is titled Mysticism. So very interesting. This card is usually the court cards. They're about, seeking the truth, expressing new ideas, communicating, sharing new ideas. And typically the page is someone who, it has a sort of, lacks a little tact, because this is usually someone young or someone who is new to something. And let's say they don't know all the rules yet. And you may be in your situation sort of rubbing people the wrong way, or just not communicating, not because you are being loud and outspoken or rude or anything. It's just that what you're doing and what you're saying is stirring up the pot of their egos, and you're shifting their vibration. And so this is going to create some reactions here. So, don't take it personally. I'm getting a sense that what they're saying is you're reaching through, you're getting through. So it may look like with this card that, things aren't working. That's that suspicion that you have. But you're actually beginning to create a transformation in everyone else. And this is what this card is saying. So pay attention to signs that you see. Pay attention to your inner voice. Okay, what your angels are telling you in your heart. Listen to that and trust that and speak that truth. Don't be afraid to speak that truth. Okay? All right, let's take a look at the card for the end of the week. And this is the Two of Trees, and this is about, as you know, balance. And as you can see, we have the third eye and the sun. And so you have this intuition and action. And then we have the Ankh in the middle of these two trees, and they're sort of embracing these two trees. So there is a way to bring two ideas or two they may be seemingly conflicting, but there is a way to work in such a way that you can be flexible and bring these ideas together. So if you're wondering, don't be rigid. Okay, don't be rigid with your mind, right? With the swords. Don't let yourself get stuck in your own ways, so to speak here. But really, really be open-minded. Listen, go into your being. And because some of the things, when you feel really strongly about something, in the sense that it's upsetting you or pissing you off, or you feel like, this anger, rage build up in you, then this is not inspiration. This is obvious. And so this is why we need to go into our inner being, because sometimes we're resisting suggestions that may actually help us with our own progress that we're seeking. So take a moment. There's no harm in going within and retuning. And the thing that you want to remember is that you want to be fulfilled in what you're doing. You want to experience, and you want them to have this too. Because if you don't want for others to have what you also want, then this is sort of breaking the cycle of giving and receiving, exchange here. We do receive what we give, and vice versa. So as Jesus has said, do unto others you have them to do unto you. And so this is a sort of a balance. So innately, we do want other people to be happy. We want them to feel good about what they're doing as much as you feel good about what you're doing. And so let that be your high point that you're aiming for, and go within and listen and see how this information in your inner being plays out, what sparks for you, and the way to be playful in your approach and bringing these two things together. This card has really always been about being playful, to find that balance, because as you're not so rigid in your head, and you're just being sort of open-minded, you're able to get this balance. You're able to discover something that that will materialize in the three. Okay, and allow you to really be creative and shine in your own work that you're doing in your project. All right, let's take a look at the card I pulled from the bottom of the deck, and it's the Awakening. So this is really would be the Judgment card, and this is really beautiful, and it's called Emergence. And this is what we were talking about in the beginning. So this is what's all tying in, this shift that we're going through. And one of the reasons you're feeling sort of like achy in your, I would say, like from the heart chakra down into your gut chakras, the chakras in that area, is like, because the control is sort of breaking up. The chains are breaking up, and you are starting to see things, but it's scary because you don't know how you're supposed to see this now. Like, do I change everything I believe? And it's sort of this sort of feeling, and things are going to occur to you. I've been noticing just daydreaming, which is something I've always done, but I've had like complete new information come through in my daydreaming. And that's actually showing me some of where this fifth dimensional, our new world, is going to how it's going to evolve, some of the concepts around money and things like this. So don't dismiss And don't be afraid, and don't dismiss them, meaning think that they're silly and, impossible. I saw that word earlier. Nothing is impossible. And the only thing that tells us that is our ego, so that we stay in this cycle, in this framework. So be very open to the new ways that will be coming to you, to open your hearts. So I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and thank you for joining us. If you're looking for an angel reading, you can contact me at theangelschool.com on my webpage, on the services page. You can set up a reading there. If you haven't followed us on the daily card messages, this deck, I'm sorry, I forgot to announce it, but I'll put it in the description link below, is the Art of Love Tarot by Denise Jarvie, and the artwork is by Tony Carmine Salerno. And as the other deck, the Oracle deck, first card here is from the Archangel Oracles by Doreen Virtue. All right, so follow us on Twitter. If you haven't joined us for the daily card messages, you can find that through my Facebook page. I think also through Twitter as well. And thank you for sharing and liking this. If you haven't subscribed, do so. And I look forward to talking to you next week. And so have a beautiful last week of February into the new month of March, which is my birthday month. So yay for me, 48. Yeah. All right. Pray for me this year. God bless you all. Bye-bye.